Welcome to Echoes of the City. We're thrilled to have you with us today as we embark on a captivating journey through Berlin's rich history. In this video, we'll uncover the stories behind its rise from a humble merchant town to the capital of a unified Germany, explore the impact of the Prussian Empire, and witness the dramatic events of the 20th century, including the Berlin Wall and Reunification. Get ready to dive deep into the past and discover how Berlin's history has shaped its vibrant culture today. Imagine a world vastly different from our own, where the landscape was dominated by vast forests, winding rivers, and small scattered settlements. Picture Europe in the 13th century, a time of knights, castles, and burgeoning trade routes. It was an era of transformation and growth. Along the banks of the Spree River, two towns began to take shape: Berlin and Cologne. These settlements, though modest at first, held great potential. Nestled in what is now modern-day Germany, these towns quickly became hubs of trade and commerce. Their strategic location was no accident. The Spree River was their lifeline, providing not only sustenance but also a means of transportation and trade. The river's flow connected them to other vital trade routes. These routes were the arteries of medieval Europe, carrying goods, ideas, and people from one place to another. The river was a crucial link in this network. On the eastern bank of the Spree, Berlin began to flourish as a center for commerce. Its markets buzzed with activity, drawing merchants from near and far. Meanwhile, on the western side, Cologne mirrored Berlin's success. The two towns, though separated by the river, were united in their prosperity. Despite their proximity, Berlin and Cologne remained distinct entities. Each town had its own unique character and governance. Both towns had their own councils and laws, governing their people and managing their affairs independently. Yet their destinies were closely linked. The fates of Berlin and Cologne were intertwined, their fortunes rising and falling together. Over time, the two towns began to thrive. As they prospered, they attracted a diverse array of people. Merchants, artisans, and traders flocked to the towns, swelling their populations and enriching their cultures. The markets of Berlin and Cologne were vibrant and bustling, filled with the sounds of haggling and the sights of goods from distant lands. The towns were alive with activity. The Spree River was a hive of activity, with boats ferrying goods and people up and down its length. It was the lifeblood of the towns, connecting them to the wider world. The river carried goods from far and wide, linking Berlin and Cologne to the vast network of medieval trade routes. This connectivity was crucial to their growth. The shared prosperity of Berlin and Cologne laid the foundation for their eventual union. Their combined strengths made them greater than the sum of their parts. By the 14th century, the bond between the two towns was formalized. They merged under the name Berlin, creating a single unified entity. This union marked a pivotal moment in their history. It combined their strengths and set the stage for future growth and transformation. The merging of Berlin and Cologne was more than just a political act. It was a merging of cultures, economies, and ambitions. It was the beginning of a new chapter. This union set the stage for Berlin's transformation from a small trading hub into a major European city. It was a foundational moment in the city's history. From these humble beginnings, Berlin began its journey towards becoming the vibrant, dynamic city we know today. The seeds of a city had been planted, and they were beginning to grow. Fast forward to the 15th century. The region around Berlin, known as Brandenburg, was gaining prominence. In 1415, Frederick I became the Elector of Brandenburg. This marked the beginning of the Hohenzollern dynasty's reign. This dynasty would shape Berlin's destiny for centuries to come. Berlin, strategically located within Brandenburg, was chosen as the capital. This decision was a turning point. It elevated Berlin's status. No longer just a trading town, it became the seat of power. The electors of Brandenburg held sway over a growing territory. Their ambitions would transform Berlin. Under the Hohenzollerns, Berlin grew in importance. They invested in the city's development. New buildings and fortifications arose. The city walls expanded. These changes reflected Berlin's growing stature. It was becoming a symbol of Brandenburg's power and ambition. The Hohenzollerns' rule brought stability and growth. Berlin attracted skilled workers and artisans. Its economy flourished. The city's population increased. This period laid the groundwork for Berlin's future as a major European capital. The 18th century ushered in the Age of Enlightenment. Frederick II, known as Frederick the Great, ascended to the Prussian throne. His reign, from 1740 to 1786, marked a golden age for Berlin. He was a fervent believer in Enlightenment ideas. He envisioned Berlin as a center of culture and learning. Frederick the Great implemented ambitious urban planning projects. He commissioned grand boulevards, imposing palaces and magnificent gardens. These architectural marvels transformed Berlin's landscape. They showcased Prussia's growing might and reflected Frederick's vision. Under Frederick's patronage, Berlin became a magnet for artists, writers, and philosophers. The city buzzed with intellectual and cultural activity. The Berlin Academy of Sciences flourished. The city's reputation as a center of Enlightenment thought soared. Frederick the Great's legacy extended beyond culture. He was a skilled military strategist. He expanded Prussia's territories through strategic conquests. Berlin, as the capital of a growing kingdom, reaped the benefits of these victories. Its population swelled with an influx of new residents. The city's economy boomed. From Prussian powerhouse to German heart, a unified nation. By the 19th century, Prussia had become the dominant power in German-speaking Europe. Its influence extended far beyond its borders, shaping the political and cultural landscape of the region. Berlin, the Prussian capital, stood at the heart of this transformation. The city was a bustling hub of activity, with its streets filled with merchants, artisans, and citizens going about their daily lives. The Industrial Revolution was in full swing, bringing with it a wave of technological advancements and economic growth. Factories sprang up across the city, and the sound of machinery became a common backdrop to daily life. Berlin embraced industrialization, witnessing the rise of factories and a surge in manufacturing. The city's economy boomed, and its population grew as people flocked to Berlin in search of work and opportunity. Otto von Bismarck, the Prussian minister-president, orchestrated the unification of the German states in 1871. His strategic diplomacy and military prowess were instrumental in bringing together the disparate German territories under a single banner. Berlin was chosen as the capital of the newly formed German Empire. This decision solidified the city's status as the political and cultural heart of the nation. This marked a pivotal moment in Berlin's history. The unification was celebrated with great enthusiasm, and the city became a symbol of German unity and strength. It transitioned from a Prussian capital to the capital of a unified Germany. This transformation was not just political but also cultural, as Berlin began to embody the spirit of the new German Empire. As the capital of the German Empire, Berlin experienced unprecedented growth and transformation. The city's infrastructure expanded rapidly, with new roads, bridges, and public buildings being constructed to accommodate the growing population. Its population exploded, reaching over 4 million by the early 20th century. This rapid growth brought with it both opportunities and challenges, as the city struggled to keep up with the demands of its residents. The city became a global center of industry, finance, and culture. Berlin's stock exchange was one of the busiest in Europe, and the city hosted numerous cultural events, attracting artists, musicians, and intellectuals from around the world. Its streets bustled with activity. Markets were filled with vendors selling their wares, and the city's public transport system was constantly in motion, ferrying people to and fro. New neighborhoods emerged to accommodate the burgeoning population. These areas were characterized by their modern architecture and amenities, reflecting the city's rapid development. The German Empire's rise brought about significant changes to Berlin's landscape. The cityscape was transformed, with old buildings being replaced by new, grander structures that symbolized the empire's power and ambition. Grandiose buildings symbolizing German power and ambition arose. These structures were not just functional but also served as a testament to the city's growing importance on the world stage. The Reichstag building, home to the German parliament, was completed in 1894. This iconic structure became a symbol of German democracy and governance. The iconic Brandenburg Gate became a symbol of German unity. It stood as a proud reminder of the nation's journey from a collection of independent states to a unified empire. The Great War and its aftermath, seeds of unrest. The dawn of the 20th century brought about a period of great upheaval in Europe. The continent was a powder keg of political tensions, alliances and rivalries, all waiting for a spark to ignite them. World War I, from 1914 to 1918, cast a long shadow over Berlin. The war, often referred to as the Great War, was unlike any conflict the world had seen before, with unprecedented levels of destruction and loss of life. The city, though not directly attacked, felt the war's impact deeply. The daily lives of Berliners were disrupted as the war effort took precedence over everything else. Resources were diverted to the war effort. Factories that once produced consumer goods were now churning out weapons and ammunition. Food shortages and economic hardship became commonplace. Families struggled to put food on the table, and long lines for rations became a daily reality. Germany's defeat in World War I had profound consequences for Berlin. Soldiers returned home to a city that was grappling with the aftermath of a lost war. The city was plunged into political and economic turmoil. The Kaiser abdicated, marking the end of the German Empire. The streets of Berlin were filled with unrest and uncertainty. A new democratic government, the Weimar Republic, was established in 1919 with Berlin as its capital. This new government faced the monumental task of rebuilding a nation from the ruins of war. The Weimar Republic faced immense challenges. Hyperinflation crippled the economy, with the value of money plummeting to the point where people needed wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy basic goods. Political instability and social unrest were rampant. The streets of Berlin were often the scene of protests and clashes between different political factions. Extremist groups both on the left and the right gained traction. The communists and the Nazis vied for control, each promising to restore Germany to greatness in their own way. Berlin became a battleground for these competing ideologies. The city was a microcosm of the larger struggles facing Germany. Despite the turmoil, Berlin experienced a remarkable cultural flourishing during the Weimar Republic. The city became a beacon of creativity and innovation. It became a center of artistic and intellectual ferment. Writers, painters and thinkers from all over the world were drawn to Berlin's vibrant cultural scene. The city's cabarets, theaters and art galleries pulsed with creativity. These venues provided an outlet for expression and experimentation, often pushing the boundaries of what was considered acceptable. Artists and writers flocked to Berlin, drawn to its atmosphere of freedom and experimentation. The city became a melting pot of ideas, where the avant-garde thrived and new movements were born. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Berlin's fascinating history. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Echoes of the City for more incredible stories from cities around the world. We can't wait to take you on our next adventure, so stay tuned. Exciting discoveries await. See you there.